प्रभु आगाए बाय मागिए भीखा बोलो कृष्ण भजो कृष्ण करो कृष्ण शिका बोलो कृष्ण भजो कृष्ण करो कृष्ण शिका अपराध शून्य हईल कृष्ण नाम अपराध शून्य हईल कृष्ण नाम कृष्ण मातो कृष्ण पितो कृष्ण दान प्राण कृष्ण मातो कृष्ण पितो कृष्ण दान प्राण कृष्ण संसार करो छाड़िया नाचा कृष्ण संसार करो छाड़िया नाचा जीवेदय कृष्ण नाम सर्वधर्मसार जीवेदय कृष्ण नाम सर्वधर्मसार श्रद्धावान जन है श्रद्धावान जन है श्रद्धावान जन है श्रद्धावान जन है नदिया गोजू में नित्यानंद महाजन नदिया गोजू में नित्यानंद महाजन हत्याचे नाम हाथे जीवे रखरान हत्याचे नाम हाथे जीवे रखरान हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
Hare Krishna, Sadhi Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada. All glories to our revered speaker for today, Her Grace, CITI-SAKTI DEVI. And all glories to the assembled Vaishnava devotees. Devotees, we thank you all for being here today. I'm sure we all know who is our speaker today. Her Grace, Dr. CITI-SAKTI Devi communicated with me earlier on that she was having some technical difficulties. And I was thinking to myself, this is exactly what happens when we're trying to connect with Krishna and we do not have a guru, we do not have a spiritual master, it's almost impossible. So thankfully, Brother CITI-SAKTI had a guru in the form of the internet connection. And here we are together. So, Mother CITI-SAKTI, thank you so much for being here as always. And today we have a double dose of Krishna Katha, the usual Srimad Bhagavatam and the transcendental appearance of Sri Radha Kund. So without further ado, we may put the verse on the screen and then you take it over from here. You handle it the way you want to handle it.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everybody. Thank you for having me back, especially on this very auspicious day in this auspicious month of Kartik. So let's start with Mangalarchanam. Umagyan Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yata Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarvadutam Parijana Setam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Pancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubheva Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So Sahadev Prabhu, would you like me to share screen or will you do it? Okay, wonderful. Okay, so we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 4, Verse 2. But also, as Sahadev Prabhu said, we will be speaking a little bit about the glories of Radhakund and also a little bit about Bahulashtami, which is also today. So I'll just recite the verse. Tesham Mareya Doshena Vishamikrita Chetasham Nimlochati Ravavashid Venunami Vamardanam. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. As by the friction of bamboos destruction takes place, so also at sunset by the interaction of the faults of intoxication, all their minds became unbalanced and destruction took place. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. When there is need of fire in the forest, by the will of the Supreme, it takes place due to friction among the bamboos. Similarly, the descendants of Yadu were all destroyed by the will of the Lord by the process of self-destruction. Just as there is no possibility of a fire's occurring deep in the forest due to human effort, so also there was no power in the universe which could vanquish the descendants of Yadu, who were protected by the Lord. The Lord wanted them to be so destroyed, and thus they obeyed his order, as indicated by the word tad anugyata. This word tad anugyata is actually in the previous verse. So we are in the section of the Bhagavatam which is describing a little bit about the wrapping up of Krishna's pastimes and how the Lord makes arrangements for his associates to wrap up their pastimes and depart, and as a prelude to his departure. And just like before he arrives, his entourage arrives. So similarly, all of these things are tied in together. It's very clear here that the Yadu dynasty are invincible. They're invincible. They're under the direct shelter of Krishna. And so because they're under his direct shelter, there is no force in all three worlds that could destroy the Yadus, unless Krishna wanted it so. And it's interesting that in this case, he makes the arrangement that they destroy themselves. Srila Prabhupada would often quote this verse, Rakhe Krishna Mare Krishna Rakhe Ke, right? If Krishna wants to protect, then who's going to be able to destroy? And if Krishna wants to destroy, then nobody can protect you. And this analogy that Srila Prabhupada in the verse gives about forest fire, we look at the forest, it's so vast and so deep. And there's so many perfectly organized systems within the forest. Mother Nature does everything so perfectly where human beings don't tamper under Krishna's loving grace and glance that we can't really even create a forest fire if we wanted to. If it happens, it's by Krishna's will. You know, we hear about forest fires being something which is a consequence of natural occurrences, right? In very hot countries when the heat, you know, when the sun is blazing in the sky, the fire can, you know, literally start in a forest and engulf it completely. But have you ever tried lighting a fire in the forest? How much effort it takes? You know, you have to first create a spark with rubbing two sticks together. You have to make sure you have the appropriate kindling and, you know, little leaves or little twigs. And even then, how big a fire can a human being make? Because Mother Nature has created the forest in such a way that there is a perfect balance between the moisture and the heat and the shade and the light for all of the living entities in the forest, the trees, the birds, the beasts, the insects, to live in harmony in such a way that one single human being or even hundreds of them can't really come in and destroy a forest. But if Krishna wants it, simply by using Mother Nature, he can create a forest very quickly. So in this way, the Yadu dynasty being directly under the shelter of Krishna could only really be destroyed by him making the kind of arrangements that really prove that no, these personalities are under my protection, and yet I want them to wrap up their pastimes. And so I'm going to create a situation which really nobody can then claim that they were able to destroy the Yadu dynasty. So in this regard, you know, we often hear that actually, if you're under Krishna's shelter, there is nothing anyone can do to hurt you. And if Krishna wants to wrap up your time or change your life, then we should surrender. We should be happy. So who does Krishna listen to? And we often hear he listens to his devotees, but who does he listen to the most? He listens to Srimati Radharani. Srimati Radharani is, you know, the embodiment of Krishna's pleasure potency. She is everything to him, and he is everything to her. She is his supreme queen, and she is his topmost devotee, the devotee whom we all follow in the footsteps of. When we are das, anudas, 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 and ultimately we're actually servants of Srimati Radharani. This is shown by even the mantra we chant. Who's the first person we call when we chant the holy names of the divine? Srimati Radharani's. Hare refers to Srimati Radharani. Whenever we address the deity, we may say Shishi Radha Sham Sundar, Shishi Radha Gokulananda, Shishi Radha Raj Sundar, It's always Srimati Radharani first. Why? Because actually, unless Srimati Radharani gives Krishna permission, or if she questions what he does, he has to question even himself and what he wants. And this pastime of Radhakunda's appearance is such a beautiful pastime that depicts this. I'm going to share with you the pastime of Sri Radhakund, and then share with you the importance that Radhakund has based on Srila Prabhupada and our 6 Goswamis' teachings. When Srimati Radharani and Krishna were around 11 years old, and this is the year that, Krishna kills Arishtasur. And Arishtasur, I believe, is the final demon that Krishna kills, or he's one of the final demons Krishna kills before he goes to Mathura. So when he's around 11 years old, on the full moon in April, Kansa sends Arishtasur, a huge demon in the form of a bull. Now, bulls are ferocious. Any of you have been to the Goshala and seen the difference between the cows, the bulls, and the oxen? The cows and calves are quite gentle. You go to the oxen, they're strong, they're aggressive, but they're kind of under control. You go to the bulls, especially a bull, which is enraged or angry or in heat. They're not still, they're noisy, they will bang their head against things. They're really quite aggressive. So Arishtasur was enraged with demoniac tendencies. And the day Krishna kills Arishtasur, this pastime happens at around 10 o'clock in the evening. This is what our Goswamis tell us in their writings and their purports to the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. That between 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock at night, Krishna very, very, very easily destroys Arishtasur. He doesn't want anything to happen to the residents of Vrindavan, because the mistake that Arishtasur made more greatly than any of the other demons is he threatened the residents of Vrindavan directly as a way to get to Krishna. And Krishna did not take to that very kindly. So he didn't mess around with Arishtasur. He did not mess around. He took him by the hind legs, he smashed him to the ground, broke his own horn off, and destroyed him with it. Okay. And so the residents of Vrindavan felt very safe, and Krishna and the devotees, they were very, very jubilant. However, Srimati Radharani and her girlfriends, they questioned Krishna very soon after this pastime, saying, as demonic as this bull was, as heinous as his activities were, he was still a male cow. And killing a cow is the absolutely worst sin anybody could possibly commit. So now, Krishna, you have to atone for that sin. And the only way you can do that is to bathe in all 7 of the holy rivers around this planet. Srimati Radharani started kind of, poking fun at Krishna, saying, but are you going to be bothered to go around the whole of this planet to the 7, holiest rivers and take a bath? You're not. So you're dirty. Stay away from me. Stay away from me and my Sakhis. You're just covered with impurities of sin, of killing a cow. However heroic you think your activities are, we're not interested in you. Just stay away from us. And Krishna says to her, what are you talking about? I don't have to go anywhere. I'm so wonderful. I don't have to go anywhere to bathe in the 7 holy rivers. They will come to me. They'll come to me. And Srimati Radharani, she knows the power she has over Krishna. And she knows that power she has over Krishna is simply rooted in her love for him. Not trickery, not any material opulence, purely because she is completely surrendered to him. And she watches to see what he's going to do. She humors him. And Krishna hits his heel hard on the ground. And as he hits his heel hard on the ground, a big concave, literally pond-sized opening is created. And he invites all 7 holy rivers to come to this spot. And as this pond, Sham Kund means pond, and Sham is Krishna, starts to fill with water. Srimati Radharani is saying, oh, well, there's just a well underneath. I'm sure there's just a water source. How is this the holy rivers? I don't believe you. This is, again, these are your tricks. There's just water under the ground. You know, bravo, bravo. I don't believe you. We're still staying away from you. You are just dirty with impurity. And Krishna says, okay, I'll prove it to you. And he says to the 7 rivers, I want the personalities of the 7 rivers to please present yourself. And so the 7 denizens, the 7 personalities, these 7 beautiful personalities of our 7 holy rivers all came lined up, and they presented themselves and they introduced themselves to Srimati Radharani. The Ganga, the Yamuna, the Godavari River, and so on and so forth. And Srimati Radharani, she was overwhelmed with devotion and awe and excitement at the same time. She was annoyed. Because she, she really, really, really wanted Krishna to make some effort this time. And he made no effort. He just did it very quickly. And she also wanted to have a nice bath in the holy rivers. Krishna says, you can have a bath in my river too. I have the holiest pond in all 3 worlds now, because all 7 rivers are in my pond. Now I am cleaner than you. When have you ever cleaned yourself to this degree? Are you going to go and travel around? No, but you can have a bath in my pond. Srimati Radharani saying, no, we will make our own kund, and our kund will be better than you because we have less sins than you, so our water will be less dirty. Your pond is dirty with your sins. We don't want to bathe there. And so just nearby, actually, Krishna's kund was a hoof print of Arishtasur. And so this now, Arishtasur is big. Okay, he's our bulls are big, but Arishtasur was really big. This was a demon bull. So we're not talking about a hoof print that's this big. It was really quite a good beginning for a kund. And so Radharani and her Sakhis, using their bangles, they very earnestly, quickly, and with great determination, started to use that as a great, beginning for their kund. And Krishna couldn't believe it. Within 1 hour, by midnight, Srimati Radharani and her Sakhis had dug a kund as beautiful, equally matched to Krishna's in size. Krishna was his heart was so moved and so warmed by Srimati Radharani's efforts, a sincere determination to work hard, to dig deep, to become clean. How hard do we work to become clean? Srimati Radharani, she had sweat dripping from her brow, using just a tiny bangle. Right? We often find ourselves in situations where we want to improve, we want to be better, we want to grow. Krishna sends us all these tools to grow, and we act as if we don't have enough. Pray, oh, if only I had this, and if only I had that, then I could offer more, I could do more. But Srimati Radharani simply, with her tiny little bangle, 11-year-old's wrists, beautiful little bangles, and her little gopi friends, they dug this beautiful kund. Krishna was so moved by her sincere endeavor. After all, she was looking out for his welfare. And he was so pleased. He said, Radha, I'm so happy, so pleased with your kund. Your determination has moved me so much. And he immediately requests the 7 holy rivers to take their presence in Srimati Radharani's kund. And as this happens, the banks of the 2 kunds, they break, they become one. There's one big, beautiful pond. Actually, if you go to Radhakund today, actually, the Vaishnavas there will tell you that actually, really, they are one kund, and they're separated to just show the division. Because Srimati Radharani's, Srila Prabhupada described the waters of Radhakund as liquid prem. Liquid prem and liquid Radharani. We worship the deity as the physical manifestation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, of divine love. But if we look at Radhakund, it is the liquid manifestation of love of God, is a liquid manifestation of Srimati Radharani. And Srimati Radharani is so overwhelmed by Krishna's beautiful gift to her. And she's so happy that they both jump in each other's lakes and they rejoice. And they're so happy together, playing together, loving each other, being kind to each other. And in this way, this Radhakund really is Radhakund and Shyamkund. You know, I'm not qualified to speak about Radhakund and Shyamkund, but Radhakund and Shyamkund, for us devotees in Lord Chaitanya's, you know, lineage, Srimati Radharani comes with her beautiful mood and her golden complexion in Krishna's form, this beautiful merging of the two, is Lord Chaitanya himself. For those of us who follow him, the significance of Radhakund and Shyamkund, the fact that we have permission by the grace of also Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who actually describes this pastime in his descriptions and commentaries of 10th canto of Bhagavatam. So between the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan and Lord Chaitanya, we are very, very, very fortunate to actually understand this very special place, which Srila Prabhupada explains isn't even really understandable to anybody else in any other sampradaya because of its unique nature. I want to share with you what Srila Prabhupada says in Nectar of Instruction, which is by Srila Rupa Goswami, in the final verse, in verse 11. Srila Rupa Goswami tells us the glories of Radhakund, and Srila Prabhupada's purport to this is gives us even more insight. I'm just going to share it with you so we can read together. Can you all see my screen? Yes? So
Yes.
give me a thumbs
Yes.
up. Thank you. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yes.
So in the 11th verse of the Nectar of Instruction, Srila Rupa Goswami writes, "Of the many objects of favored delight and of all the lovable damsels of Rajbhumi, Srimati Radharani is certainly the most treasured object of Krishna's love. And in every respect, her divine gund is described by great sages as similarly dear to him. Undoubtedly, Radhakund is very rarely attained even by the great devotees. Therefore, it is even more difficult for ordinary devotees to attain. If one simply bathes once within those holy waters, one's pure love of Krishna is fully aroused." In the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, why is Radhakund so exalted? The lake is so exalted because it belongs to Srimati Radharani, who is the most beloved object of Shri Krishna. Among all the gopis, she is the most beloved. Similarly, her lake, Sri Radhakund, is also described by great sages as the lake that is as dear to Shri Krishna as Radha herself. Indeed, Krishna's love for Radhakund and Srimati Radharani is the same in all respects. Radhakund is very rarely attained, even by great personalities fully engaged in devotional service. What to speak of ordinary devotees who are only engaged in the practice of Vaidhi Bhakti? It is stated that a devotee at once will at once develop pure love of Krishna in the wake of the gopis if he once takes a bath in Radhakund. Srila Rupa Goswami recommends that even if one cannot live permanently on the banks of Radhakund, he should at least take a bath in the lake as many times as possible. This is a most important item in the execution of devotional service. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes in this connection that Sri Radhakund is the most select place for those interested in advancing their devotional service in the wake of the lady friends, sakhis, and confidential serving maids, manjaris of Srimati Radharani. Living entities who are eager to return home to the transcendental kingdom of God, Goloka Vrindavan, by means of attaining their spiritual bodies, Siddhadhyaya, should live at Radhakund, taking shelter of the confidential serving maids of Sri Radha, and under their direction, engage constantly in her service. This is the most exalted method for those engaged in devotional service under the protection of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In this connection, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes that even great sages and great devotees like Narad and Shanaka do not get an opportunity to come to Radhakund to take their baths. What then to speak of ordinary devotees? If by great fortune one gets an opportunity to come to Radhakund and bathe even once, he can develop his transcendental love for Krishna, exactly as the gopis did. It is also recommended that one should live on the banks of Radhakund and should be absorbed in the loving service of the Lord. One should bathe there regularly and give up all material conceptions, taking shelter of Sri Radha and her assistant gopis. If one is thus constantly engaged during his lifetime, After giving up the body, he will return back to Godhead to serve Sri Radha in the same way as he contemplated during his life on the banks of Radhakund. The conclusion is that to live on the banks of Radhakund and to bathe there daily constitute the highest perfection of devotional service. It is a difficult position to attain, even for great sages and devotees like Narad. Thus, there is no limit to the glory of Sri Radhakund. By serving Radhakund, one can get an opportunity to become an assistant of Srimati Radharani under the eternal guidance of the gopis. When we hear the pastimes of Krishna and his associates, when we hear the pastimes of Srimati Radharani, when we then have the opportunity to visit these places, we're not simply going on an ordinary pilgrimage. This is not simply a tourist site. These places, although not always visible to the human eye, are quite literally the spiritual world on planet Earth. The difference between the Dham and a Tirtha is that the Dham is not destroyed when the material world is destroyed. The Dham does not need topping up. The Dham is always pure. Whether we can see them or not, this pastime of Radhakund's appearance, the various pastimes that happen around Radhakund, because Krishna and Srimati Radharani have many, many pastimes, many meetings, many loving exchanges on the banks of Radhakund and Shamkund. These are still going on continuously because nothing can cease their pastimes. So when we're there, we are not entering a place which comes and goes, a place which can be covered over. It's, it's always there. This is something that's really important for us to understand, that if it appears to be covered over, that's it. It just appears to be covered over. And that covering is on our eyes, not on the pastime itself. The pastime's always happening. Tirthas, on the other hand, so for example, we can make our homes tirthas, temples are tirthas. They pop up where maybe the Lord hasn't had his pastimes, but his pastimes are spoken about. He is worshipped there. His associates are worshipped there. And so these are like portals, like bridges to the transcendental realm, that they need to be topped up. If a portal is not topped up, if a tirtha is not topped up, then it loses its potency. Whereas a dham is never, ever destroyed. So know that when we go to Radhakund, if we ever get the opportunity to go to Radhakund, those pastimes, though they may not be visible to us, they are constantly happening. And those who do reside on the banks of Radhakund, who have been able to immerse themselves and been given permission and the grace to enter into those pastimes, are living in the Dham as it is, are observing and partaking in the pastimes as they're going on. And even them being able to do so is not visible to us. So we have to be very careful when we encounter sadhus and sadhvis in the dhams, wherever they may be, that we don't make offense, that we don't judge, that we don't criticize, and then we don't behave unkindly. Because it's very easy for us with our limited vision to just try to assess a person's qualification on very external factors. And when we do that, we run a very high risk of treating them badly or being dismissive. Being dismissive and not recognizing the value of someone, is a really is a foundation for the development of offenses. When Srimati Radharani and her gopis were digging Radhakund, one other thing that's commented on in terms of what pleased Krishna so much was their spirit of cooperation. Srila Prabhupada constantly reminds us of this point of the spirit of cooperation. Not only did they have very little to dig the kund with, but with the little that they had, they cooperated. If we can imbibe this mood, this merciful mood, this surrendered mood of servant of the servant of the servant, that with whatever little I have, I will make an offering and I will cooperate. This is extremely pleasing to the divine couple. Now, on this day, I was just doing some more reading about this day, and there's some discussion that there's 2 appearance days of Radhakund. So those of you who are listening carefully would have noticed I said that actually Radhakund appeared in April on a full moon. I'm thinking, hang on a minute, isn't it today? We're in Kartik, it's October. So we as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we recognize 2 appearances of Radhakund. So yes, Radhakund appeared physically in Bhumi and Earth Vrindavan in the full moon of April, an hour after Arishtasura is destroyed, so it appears at midnight. But actually Lord Chaitanya, when he was here with us just 500 years ago, when he sent the 6 Goswamis to excavate Vrindavan, and he himself went looking, the first place he looked for was Radhakund. And the site that is excavated where Radhakund and Shamkund are at the moment is that which is discovered by Lord Chaitanya himself. And when he first discovered Radhakund, it was just a tiny little pond. And he immediately bathed in that tiny pond. And then with the help of the Goswamis, he instructed them to excavate that pond and make that the beautiful place it is now. And many devotees who go to Vrindavan, you will see that other places have been developed by the Goswamis. So the various stalis of the different, residing places of the different Ashtasakhis. We've got Janava, Mata, Lord Nityananda's consorts, bathing ghat as well. And so it's really, really a very wonderful place. One can spend many hours there chanting japa. It's extremely, extremely immersive. So we have 2 appearance days of Radhakund. In April, the appearance of Radhakund as she is in the pastime, appearance on earth. And then on the other hand, we have the appearance or the discovery of Radhakund, which happens today, which actually Lord Chaitanya discovered Radhakund on Bahulashtami. And today is Bahulashtami. Now, what's new to me that I discovered today is actually Radhakund is in Bahulavan. So you're wondering, what's Bahulashtami? What's Bahulavan? Some of you may know, so let me share a little bit. So Bahula is a cow who is very dear to Krishna. Now, all cows are dear to Krishna. We hear in 10th canto of Bhagavatam that Nanda Maharaj had millions of cows of all different colors, and Krishna knew every single one of them by name and would call them by name, especially his little calves. But Bahula was very dear to Krishna because of her integrity and honesty. Another few qualities that are really, really attractive to Krishna. So Bahula was a cow quietly grazing in the fields when she was approached and attacked by a tiger. Now, she was the mother to a small calf and belonged to a cowherd, an elderly cowherd. She said to the tiger, "Okay, I'll let you eat me, but please, before I leave my body, before you eat me, please can I go and at least feed my calf one last time so my calf doesn't go hungry?" So the tiger, knowing that she is a saintly soul and good to her word, lets her go. And she goes to speak to her calf and her owner and explains she looks after her calf very lovingly, nuzzles her calf, lets her calf drink milk to its full content, and then explains to the owner and her calf, "Look, this is the last time you're going to see me. I've made a promise to a tiger that he can have me for his meal." The calf and the owner of the cowherd, they were just so distressed at the idea of losing her, and they loved her so much. They said, no, we'll go in your place. We will go in your place. Have we ever felt like that when we've known someone is suffering, that we will go in their place, no matter how much we love them? But they loved her this much. Anyway, a rapid devotional argument ensued between the 3 of them, saying, "No, I will go. No, I'll go. No, I want to go." And they were competing like this, a competition of love. In the end, all 3 of them went. And the tiger thought, today's my day. I got 2 bonuses. I should do this more, attack these cows. They're so righteous, they bring more with them. But seeing her integrity, her honesty, and actually the love that the cowherd and the calf had for her, and they're also their integrity, Krishna appeared immediately. And he said to the tiger, if you eat her and this cowherd and the calf, you will certainly have a full belly. But if you let them go, you will become famous everywhere for being a noble tiger. Tigers will be known to be noble. Wouldn't you rather be infamous for eternity than just have a full belly for one evening? This tiger of Vrindavan, he agreed. And Krishna was so pleased with Bahula, he said that in her next birth, she could take birth as a gopi, and that particular forest would be named after her. So Radha Kund and Shyam Kund are actually in Bahulavan. This is Bahula's forest. And Lord Chaitanya discovered Radha Kund and today, on this day, on Bahulashtami. And so devotees go to Radha Kund at midnight, at the appearance time of Radha Kund on this day. You know, if you've ever been on Bahulashtami to Radha Kund, you'll know there is not a space to stand or sit. Everybody's so eager to take a bath in Radha Kund. But one must be careful. You know, Prabhupada said that one must be careful when we bathe or we worship in Radha Kund. And often, you know, I've been on a few yatras with devotees, and I remember the very first one I went on with His Holiness Radhanath Swami. He actually said to us, he said, if you cannot offenselessly bathe in Radha Kund with full faith, and what does offenselessly mean? It means without resistance. Resistance is a type of offense. One of the offenses to the holy name is to preach the glories of the holy name to the faithless. Resistance means a lack of faith. So if we enter the liquid form of Srimati Radharani's love for Krishna without real faith, with resistance, wondering, how much soap is there in this? Are there any insects? Is it really that clean? How am I going to get myself cleaned up afterwards? He's explaining, actually, it's better you just take 3 drops, and with full faith, you put those 3 drops on your head. Because liquid prem, even one molecule of liquid prem, is enough to transform our hearts, provided we have the heart space and the submission to receive the love that is coming through. But if we are numb from a lack of faith, numb through a lack of understanding, numb through pride, numb through an idea that we're already there, numb through ignorance, then we are pushing it away, because we have free will. We can be surrounded by love and not let it in. So on this very, very auspicious day of Radha Kund, of the appearance of Radha Kund, this auspicious day of Bahulashtami, in this very auspicious month of Kartik, and where we are getting a 100% return on anything we do to express our devotion to Krishna. Where we get, if we're in the dhams, we get 1,000% return on anything we want to do. Actually, I think it's more than that. 100 times and 1,000 times. That's more than 100% and 1,000%. So let's try and see if today we can take shelter of this mood of integrity, of honesty, and of cooperating with even the little bit that we have. If a whole kund can be dug in the spirit of cooperation using some simple bangles by the hoof print left by a demon. I mean, those are not recipes for a great kund, are they? Are they? If I said to you, let's start building a lake, from an impression in the ground, born of a demon, and I want nothing but your bracelets to dig up with. Like, that's the hardest test anybody's given me in my Krishna consciousness. You want me to start with something demonic and transform it into something transcendental? This is the power of bhakti. And this is where bhakti resides, in Srimati Radharani's heart. She is the embodiment that she can take the hoofprint of a demonic entity and turn it into a place of pure prema. Let's just think about that. The base of Radha Kund is the hoofprint of a personality who came to destroy Krishna and the residents of Vrindavan. And it has been transformed into a place of absolute ecstasy and bliss. So on this day, you know, I was just listening to a little podcast, you know, from His Holiness Satchidananda Swami. And every day he releases these short Kartik inspirations. They're really beautiful. Please do listen to them if you can. And they're on SoundCloud. And he gives these little nuggets of how to reconnect. And one of the things he keeps coming back to is that in our japa, if we can keep returning to Radha and Krishna saying, please accept me. I have gone astray. Please allow me to come back. And we do this as a repeated endeavor. It is extremely humbling. It is also full of sneha, affection for the Lord. Because when we've gone astray and we come back, it's us telling the person, I have affection for you. Please accept me. And it's this kind of chanting that Maharaj says, is very, very attractive to Krishna. It's attractive to anyone. When we call anyone by their name with affection, that's when they listen. Not just a mechanical calling. When somebody calls you mechanically, they could be calling somebody else who's your namesake. You don't turn. But when someone calls you with affection, even if they get your name wrong, even if they mispronounce it, doesn't your head immediately turn? Doesn't your heart open up? So Srimati Radharani and Krishna, being the embodiments of this love, that is what attracts them, love. So that really struck me when I heard this in the podcast that, when we're chanting, if we can remind ourselves and remind Krishna, but particularly ourselves, that, I've gone astray. Can you please accept me? We go, how many times a day do we go astray? But this is the power of bhakti, that if the hoof print of a demon can be turned into a complete transcendental pond of liquid brim, and so can our hearts. And if we think we're a bigger demon than Arishtasur, as Prabhupada said to one of his disciples, you are not the most of anything. Right? Sometimes we declare to be the worst of something. That's still a position of supremacy. I'm going to stop there. I'd love to hear your reflections, your Kartik reflections, your reflections on this pastime, any questions you might have, any corrections you might have. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Your Grace CITI-SAKTI Devi. Dear devotees, if anyone may have questions, realizations, comments you may want to ask or share, please indicate by using the hand emoji or your physical hand, and you'll be asked to unmute to ask your question or share your realizations. But CITI-SAKTI, I have one question. I have a couple of questions, but I'll ask this question first. I love Nectar of Instructions because Srila Prabhupada reminds us the cause of our problems is I and mine. I and mine. And when I see Nectar of Instructions, what I say is no I. You remove the I from the no I. It's just Krishna. So you quoted the beautiful mantra 11, the last mantra of Nectar of Instructions, wherein Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was saying that even great devotees like Narada and Sanaka did not have the opportunities to bathe in Radhakund. Now, I would want you to help explain why that is the case. Why great personalities like Narada and Sanaka may have difficulty entering into Radhakund to bathe in it. But we, the conditioned souls, provided we can travel to India to go to Govardhan Hill, to Bahulashwa, we will be able to bathe in Radhakund. What does it really mean that these great personalities do not even find it so easy to enter into Radhakund to bathe in it? In her, I should say, because Radhakund is Srimati Radharani.
Your question actually comes back to the first point you made before we started this class, when you talked about how when we don't have guru, we don't know what to do. It is, and this is the point Srila Prabhupada makes in the purport, it is by Lord Chaitanya's mercy, Srimati Radharani's mercy, that Prema Bhakti, particularly of this rasa of Madhurya, is available and accessible to us. Because if Srimati Radharani, if you look at Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's Srimati Radharani's story. It's her being able to fully express how she feels about Krishna as Lord Chaitanya. Okay. In Srimad Bhagavatam, she's barely spoken about and barely, her words are barely described. But in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's full of her nectarian remembrances of Krishna. And those Shikshastakam are Srimati Radharani's words. And so it is by Lord Chaitanya, by Srimati Radharani herself, it's her permission that come. You know, the first place he discovers in and looks for in Vrindavan is Radhakund. She looks for her bathing cart first in Vrindavan, so she can give us permission and entrance to, look, understand this about me. You are so unqualified. I can't wait for you to become qualified. Just have it freely. How kind is she? You know, when we were discussing her last time on her appearance day, speaking about her as being the embodiment of mercy, okay, being so envy-free that she loves Krishna so much, she doesn't care if she's the person delivering or if somebody else is delivering the service. As long as Krishna is pleased, she will get out of the way. She will get out of the way. And her verses, the 6th Shikshastakam, is like this, right? You read the 7th and 8th verses of the Shikshastakam, she's describing, Chaitanya is describing, my Lord, birth after birth. Okay, my Lord, always and forever. It doesn't matter if you handle me roughly by your embrace or make me brokenhearted by not being present before me. You know, 1 moment feels like 12 years or more. So much love. So why do we get this? Certainly not because of our qualification. Certainly by the mercy of actually our ultimate Guru, Srimati Radharani, who comes as Lord Chaitanya to give us permission, because only she can give us permission to bathe in her kund, right? Krishna can't give us permission to bathe in Radhakund. It's only Srimati Radharani who can. And so that's why we're allowed, because otherwise we'll never get to do it. We're allowed because she wants us to. She wants us to come back. She wants more Sakhis. She wants more Manjaris. And so this is why. This is like when someone's heart is full of compassion and then they see abundance with everything, right? Even here, even if you look at us, when we're not in a miserly mood, but we have a mood of, we always feel rich. We always feel wealthy, no matter how much we have. When we have the abundance mentality, don't we give freely? We don't even wait for people to be qualified. We just say, look, if you, it doesn't matter. This is what I've got is so good. You've got to have it, even if you're not ready for it. So Srimati Radharani, she knows, Lord Chaitanya knew that what Prema Bhakti is just so sweet. It is so our natural state that they no longer want to wait. The divine couple no longer want to wait for us to be up to scratch, up to the mark, or even know that we need it. People don't know what they don't know, okay? That's what ignorance is, not knowing what we don't know. And so when someone doesn't know what they don't know, if you are compassionate, you help them. And Srimati Radharani is the most compassionate. So knowing that in Kali Yuga, we don't know what we don't know. There are no hard or fast rules chanting the holy name. Simply connect yourself to Lord Chaitanya and his servants. Look at Srila Prabhupada, again, making everything that Lord Chaitanya gave available to so many worldwide, beyond caste, color, creed, gender, transgender, doesn't matter, rich, poor, ugly, beautiful, clever, doesn't matter. Just take shelter. So why do we get to? Because actually, if we have this mood that we're qualified, we don't get to. When we realize I'm unqualified, what I've been given is so huge, it's such a blessing, then it makes sense that those who, you know, who are qualified, who are more qualified than us, maybe weren't given that opportunity. Somebody's been very kind to us. She's been very kind to us. Does that make sense?
Very much, very much. Well, all glories to Srimati Radharani Devi. Jai. If I may ask my second question, and that is about Bahula. Bahula offering her body to the tiger to be eaten up. I have read several times where Srila Prabhupada says that self-preservation is the most important policy of every living entity in this material world. And therefore, everybody would like to protect his or her life. So I'm wondering how Bahula, the tiger, wanted to have her for a meal, instantly accepted to offer her body to be eaten up by this tiger. Of course, we know Krishna intervened, and that is what has led to the glory of Bahula Ashwa. Now, how do we as conditioned souls learn from this act? Do we just accept anytime, simply because we're trying to be devotees? Anytime someone approaches us for something so dear to us, or something like our own lives, and then we wholly accepted that, okay, you may have it. What we learn from this pastime as struggling devotees? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, such a nice question. Bahula was in Vrindavan. She directly every day felt the presence and the shelter of Krishna. When every day, all day, we feel and experience the presence and shelter of Krishna, giving up a body isn't so hard. Giving up a prized possession isn't so hard. Most mothers would have gone, oh my gosh, would I leave my child? You know, again, forget self-preservation. Preservation of those that we love is also there, isn't it? I need to be around for those that I'm responsible for. But when we feel and know Krishna's presence, you know, this, again, what we opened with, the Rakhe Krishna Mare Ke, right? Mare Krishna Rakhe Ke. When we experience this on a day-to-day basis, then one is very sober. Krishna explains this in the Gita, right? One is not disturbed by changes. So not only is Bahula, it's not so much that Bahula was immersed in tattva and philosophy. Bahula was immersed in love for Krishna, and she felt his reciprocation directly every single day. So she knew that whatever's being arranged, ultimately, more prema, more love will prevail. And that's exactly what it did. She got her own forest and she got to be a gopi, you know, in her next appearance. When Srila Prabhupada is writing, Srila Prabhupada is, you know, Srila Prabhupada wrote with hindsight and foresight. He knew that he needed to write for those who are reading the books at that time and for anybody who's going to ever pick up these books for the first time, so for the beginner. And he's also writing for those who are going to keep coming back, who are developing, and who those in the future will become exactly the kind of devotees that he is praying for us, begging for us, and training us to become pure devotees. And so he says different things to different people at different times, depending on where they're at. And we also receive things differently, depending on where we're at. Whilst our faith is weak and even strong, so strong is up to your madhyam, up to nishtha, then self-preservation is important, because the body and mind, they are certainly essential vehicles, absolutely essential vehicles in the execution of our devotional service. As one starts to then shift to madhyamuttam and then ultimately develop to uttamuttam prema bhakti, and the faith becomes deep. Okay, so it's a good transition from weak to strong to deep. Deep like the ocean, right? Deep faith is, you look at how turbulent the ocean is, but the fish who are swimming deep in the ocean, they don't even notice. We hear this saying also, still waters run deep. It's very still underneath. So nothing shakes the faith, and nothing shakes the experience, because as we're moving to Ruchi, Shakti, Bhav, one is slowly waking to their reality. So when your reality manifests, then the illusion immediately starts to dissolve. And as the illusion starts to dissolve, then the pulls, whether they're attraction or aversion or fear or lust in this world, which are to do with this identity, they have less of a pull, because this identity is not the only place where our sense of self-worth and our sense of identity lies. So just like in the purport of NOI, Srila Prabhupada is of the 11th verse, he's not speaking anything about self-preservation or anything like that. He's actually saying just go live by Radhakund and immerse yourself if that's where you're at. Radhakund is not a place where you're going to get fine dining and a soft bed to sleep on. You're going to have to tolerate hot sunshine, monsoons, and maybe even what you would perceive to be a hygiene standard that you're not used to. Okay, an austerity of eating, an austerity around sleep. But that's minor if one is waking up, more and more waking up to their sense of identity and does it voluntarily. So, and ultimately, what is self-preservation? Preservation of the real self is the most important. But if neglecting the transient self, the human self, interrupts our bhakti, then we don't do it. Because one can very easily do spiritual bypass and go, okay, well, hang on, this my body and mind, they're secondary. I don't need to take care of them. Bhakti will prevail. But until we have that level of bhakti, it's really important. Unless you're, a long distance runner, your car's important to you, right? You're not going to get out and do all the journeys yourself on foot. You're going to need your car, so look after it. Look after it. So yeah, we have to be careful when we read Srila Prabhupada's purports and his explanations. We have to understand he speaks to time, place, and a particular person, and very much what our consciousness needs at the time. It's not it's this or this, it's this and this, just depending on where you're at. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I was going to offer prayers, and even before I attempted to offer the prayers, the Lord has answered my prayer, because I'm coming from a Christian background, and in Christianity we understand that the Word of God is bread, also is meat, it's food, and so as you were speaking and seeing the attentiveness of the audience, of the devotees, it appeared to me that they are all already formed. And I was praying to Krishna to release the pancreatic juice to make them have so much appetite to want to eat more and to ask questions. And Shrimad Prabhu has a hand up. So Shrimad Prabhu, please give me a mute. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, my obeisances,
Obeisances.
all glory to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And thank you for the delivery also. So, I'm happy that today we're speaking on Radhakund and Baulastami. There's a question that's always been bothering me in that nectar of instruction. And so maybe I'll have opportunity to clear that. So I think text 10, before the last text, says that one of those last ones, 9 or 8, or before the last one, says that of all holy places, Mathura is superior to Vaikuntha, right?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Radhakund even superior. No. So we have to accept the scriptural statement sometimes, just like that, just accept it. But I ask myself, do people have a feeling in Mathura that they are in a place that is superior to Vaikuntha? The resident of Mathura or anyone visiting Mathura have the feeling that they are in a place that is superior to Vaikuntha? Or do we just, we accept the statement of the scripture, right? But then, sometimes, is it logical? Or we just have to accept on faith? That's the question.
Okay, yeah, let's just share this verse 9 that you're referring to from Nectar of Instruction. The holy place known as Mathura is spiritually superior to Vaikuntha, the transcendental world, because the Lord appeared there. Superior to Mathurapuri is the transcendental forest of Vrindavan because of Krishna's Rasa Leela pastimes. Superior to the forest of Vrindavan is Govardhan Hill, for it was raised by the divine hand of Sri Krishna and was the site of his various loving pastimes. And above all, the super excellent Sri Radhakund stands supreme, for it is overflooded with the ambrosial nectarian prema of the Lord of Gokul, Sri Krishna. Where then is that intelligent person who is unwilling to serve this divine Radhakund, which is situated at the foot of Govardhan Hill? So, Prabhu, I understand your question to be that do the residents of Mathura actually feel like they are in a place superior to Vaikuntha? Have I understood your question correctly?
Sure, that's it.
Okay. It depends which Mathura they're residing in, right? When we look at the dhams, there is the physical, geographical dham on earth. And then there is the dham which is active in its eternal form. Those who are residing in Mathura consciousness, certainly feel they are in a superior place to Vaikuntha. Because if you look at Vaikuntha, Shastra explains that in Vaikuntha, you can have Dasyaras and you can have Shantaras at most. There isn't friendship, there isn't parental love, and there's no romantic love. In Mathura, you can have up to friendship and parental love, okay, as well as Dasya and Shantaras. In Mathura, there's even a type of Madhurya as well, right? In Mathura, we read in the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam when Krishna and Balaram are around Mathura, these high-class ladies, these princesses of Mathura, they're sitting in their little palaces and their opulent homes, doing their makeup, and then they can tell, their heart knows Krishna and Balaram are arriving, and they just leave what they're doing and they run out onto their balconies, some with their one eye makeup done, another one with their hair uncombed, another one with their blouse on backwards, some of them don't even make it to the balcony, they just collapse. So this, in Mathura, you can even have some type of Madhurya as well. So this is not there in Vaikuntha. So certainly those who are in Mathura consciousness feel they are in a greater place than Vaikuntha. Those who are in Vrindavan consciousness, those who are in Govardhan consciousness, those who are in Radhakund consciousness, also again, they feel that they're in a superior place to the previous or aforementioned place. Why? Because for them, that's home. For them, that's home. Wherever is home for us, whatever is our constitution, always feels most superior. Even if on the surface it appears that somebody else has more. One could say, hey, hang on, don't the residents of Vrindavan look at the Vaikuntha Vasis and go, hey, you're in a superior place to us because you've got jewels, you've got a form like God, you're so beautiful, you have 4 arms. They could say that, but no, they feel that their place is perfect, even though they're rolling around in dust. They only have 1 pair of arms. They don't wear crowns in Vrindavan. They wear little turbans and dhotis and gopi dresses, when we hear about Krishna's lunch pastimes with his friends, sometimes they turn the rock into their plate or the leaf into their plate or the flower becomes their little bowl from which to eat their sweets, eat off gold like in Vaikuntha. So yes, these places, if we are in the consciousness of that place, then absolutely they are superior. But when we are in the geographical mindset of a place in Bhumi Leela, okay, in the Bhumi mindset, this is a geographical place, Mathura, this is a geographical place, Vrindavan, where you might see structural and geographical and austere differences between maybe even where you're living now and Vrindavan and Mathura, etc. Then yes, you might not feel like you're in a superior place to Vaikuntha. But then you also don't really know what Vaikuntha is like either. It's just the descriptions you've heard. So I hope that helps devotees to make sense that actually ultimately for us, we've got to see, am I in Bhumi consciousness or am I in Dham consciousness, wherever we are?
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yeah, that's very good. Thank you.
Well, in fact, until today, I had never actually thought of the difference between a dam and a tirtha. And Shimabara Prabhu's question and the CITI-SAKTI, your answer to him, it's so beautiful, and it brings home the difference between dam and tirtha. That if one is in the consciousness of the dam, then yes, the dam is superior to Vaikuntha, like Mathura, as described here. But if it's tirtha, then it's going to be difficult for us to imagine how this place is superior to Vaikuntha. So thank you for
No problem.
that enlightenment.
Hare Krishna.
Dear devotees, if anyone may have questions, comments before our busy CITI-SAKTI Devi leaves us today. Mother, we can't thank you enough for being with us and sharing your love and wisdom with us at least once in a month. We truly and sincerely appreciate it so much. And
Thank you so much, Prabhu. I really appreciate being invited back. I love being with this community. Everybody's always very eager, enthusiastic, always has very deep questions. And actually, to be honest, when we discuss Leela and pastimes, there usually are very few questions. I think devotees like to get absorbed in the pastime. It takes you to a different space. You know, it takes you away from the philosophical question asking space. It makes you, really, it brings joy to the heart to recall these pastimes. Just hearing the pastimes is purifying in itself. It is reminding us of our real life. This is our real life we're hearing about.
That's why I was going to pray that the Lord causes each and everyone to be so hungry, wanted to taste it more, because everybody is almost full just by hearing these wonderful pastimes of the Lord, because the word of the Lord is food also for the soul. So everybody is full.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to pray that you become hungry very soon, so you want to eat more. I want to hear more. Hare Krishna.
Hare
So,
Krishna, devotee.
if devotees have nothing more to share, then we're going to humbly request all the devotees to kindly unmute, and we all chant the loudest Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to express our appreciation to our revered speaker, Her Grace, Dr. CITI-SAKTI Devi, for sharing her love and wisdom with us today, special day of the appearance of Sri Radhakund. Jai. Hare Krishna,
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 Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Rama, Rama,
Hare Rama, Rama, Hare
Hare.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. Grace of the CITI-SAKTI Devi Dasi ki Jai.
Thank you, Prabhu.
This confounder Acharya is Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Jai.
Hare
All glories to assemble devotees. Hare